Welcome to Meet the Innovator, an interview series from Higher Ed Live, the live weekly web show network all about innovation in higher education, digital development, professional empowerment, whatever you want to hear. We try to bring it to you. Meet the Innovator is an interview series highlighting innovation and education. We're going to dive right in with today's guest. So allow me to welcome Bob Ertischek, the founder of Profology. Bob, welcome to Higher Ed Live. How are you doing?
Thanks, Seth. Thrilled to be here. Thanks very much for doing this whole series.
I'm really excited to do it. I'm really happy to cover innovation in higher ed. I think it needs dialogue. It needs to be fueled and talked about. And in a lot of ways, that's very similar to what Profology is aiming to do as well. So without further ado, let me pass it off to you and tell us a little bit about what Profology is.
Sure. Profology is a professional social network created for people working in higher education, exclusively for people working in higher education. That's faculty, administrators, and staff. A place where all three groups can come. And one of our other sort of unique selling points is students, undergrads, are not allowed in. Like many of these other networks, it's a safe place for people in higher education to go, to communicate, to go across disciplines, to stay within their own discipline and sort of communicate. And also, we're going to be providing custom, individualized, discipline-specific content based on your interests or what it is that you do, what your role in higher ed is.
No, one of the first questions that might come to someone's mind is one of the best questions to ask, which is, there already are a lot of smaller networking opportunities in higher ed for specific sectors, specific people in different niches, different areas. Why did you think it was so important when setting up Profology to set up an organization and a group that kind of encompassed everyone that worked and supported higher ed, as opposed to doing what a lot of networks in the past have done, which is setting up kind of segmented groups where people that worked in the same exact field and did the same exact thing could kind of connect?
Well, okay, I think that's a really good question, and it's an important question. I come from higher ed. I work in higher ed. I'm still a professor. I teach political science. Before that, I used to work in online learning at Rochester Institute of Technology. So I've had higher ed experiences, and I had, there was certain pain. There's certain pain that I felt working in higher ed that there was nowhere for me to go to sort of work it out. Let me give you a quick story. I started teaching a class, I don't know, 5-6 years ago, a class I had never taught before. And I was given about 3 weeks before the semester to let me know that I was going to be teaching this class. I had no syllabus, no textbook, no idea how the course would flow. Obviously, I had, I knew what the content of the course was, but I had no idea how to go it. And the department I worked in consisted of me and another person. So I had nowhere to really reach out to get any answers on any of these things. I thought, wouldn't it be great if there was a place to go where I could share with other faculty or other people working in higher ed, how they're doing this particular thing, what they're doing about classroom management, how the technology is working, all of these issues that I couldn't address on my own, or I felt like I was out sort of on an island in the middle of nowhere to be able to do this. And some people work in larger departments, but in those places, you end up with politics and all that kind of thing, and sometimes people aren't, willing to help you. It is there to allow us to communicate with our peers across academia and people who are working with us in academia. That's sort of the short version of it. There was something else I was going to say, and it just disappeared.
Well, I'm happy to jump in just because I really just want to say that I'm really excited about this. One of the biggest complaints about higher education and something that people talk about all the time is how siloed we are and how we don't communicate. And yet,
Right.
When you think about it, there aren't that many networking opportunities for folks in higher ed to connect with people in a different field within higher education. We go to our own conferences. A lot of times we connect with people who have the same jobs, and it makes sense on a day-to-day level to have those kind of connections. But you really miss out. I mean, as someone who's, I work on the administration side. I work in marketing. I work in supporting student success, through supporting the mission of the institution, supporting the kind of the structure of the institution. But I would love to talk to faculty. I'd love to connect with them on in-classroom stuff. One of the things I really want to do in my future is get more involved in like the use of video in class. And how do I do that? How do I connect with faculty? How can I share my skills and expertise with someone who could talk about pedagogy and in-classroom experiences? And I'm really excited about Profology because it provides that kind of an opportunity, as opposed to a lot of the other networking, if not all the other networking opportunities that I've experienced in higher ed that are kind of cut off. This is real cross-collaboration. And to me, that really is exciting. It seems like there's a lot of potential there.
Right. I mean, that is the thing. I mean, many of these other networks that exist, and certainly there are others that you can join, but they're devoted to either research or a specific niche within higher education. And that's fine. but you're going to get the narrow sort of viewpoint in those particular places. When I used to work in online learning, I would have to work with faculty who taught things, chemistry, which I failed in high school. Shh, don't tell my daughter. And how am I supposed to tell them, how to teach this subject in class online if I don't have any connection to this? This is a way that not only beneficial to faculty, but also to people working, in other areas in higher ed. So I think you're absolutely right, and that's part of what we're trying to do. Plus, the content that we'll provide will match you with people who have the same interests. If you're teaching if you're working in, I'm going to say online learning again because it's my own experience, and you have to work with a political science professor, maybe you'll want to get some content that's related to that, and also be matched up with other political science professors and other online learning people who have done that kind of thing.
That's great. And now beyond the matching, can you give me a little bit more of like an insight into what Profology is going to offer, what it's going to look like, kind of what the look, feel, or experience might be for someone who's logged in?
Absolutely. I mean, look, obviously there are social networks out there, and we're not going to reinvent the wheel, and we don't want to make something difficult for somebody to use. So, it'll have, I hate to say it, but a Facebook-y type of look and feel. Okay. There'll be more to that. Honestly, as much as I think the connecting with people is so incredibly important, I think you'll be comfortable on Profology even if you don't have any colleagues or friends, because we're going to get you content as well. But it'll appear in a stream sort of Facebook-y type of view. And I think this will make it easy for people, but they don't have to have the fear that they have on a place like Facebook or something like that. Facebook, my colleague, I'll tell you a very quick story. I had a colleague who is a sociologist, and she posted a particular item on Facebook that had to do with sociology. It just happened to be a little bit racy. And she got in all kinds of trouble because students saw it and all this kind of stuff. So, that was this is why we're keeping students out. You want to trade a test with another teacher. You want to show how you assess and what you do about classroom issues. You can do all of that on Profology.
Now, what's the timeline on Profology? Because folks know we were recording this interview here in November. I know launch is coming up. What's the timeline looking for folks to be able to get in, be able to use this, and what can they do now?
Yeah, we're going to hopefully have our public beta coming this winter, hopefully early January before the next semester starts, except for the people on trimesters, but But yeah, so hopefully in January, and you can sign up right now if I can give that information.
Yeah, absolutely.
You can go to www.profology, PROFOLOGY.com, and enter your email address, and you'll get an early invitation as soon as we go live. And I hope all the higher ed live people will go out and do that.
Great, yeah, I mean, it's really exciting. I think it's definitely, I'm going to log in and check out and see kind of who's there, what conversations are happening. Look to make some more connections, meet some more people. Again, people outside of my realm, which I think I'm excited about. And just finally, last question, what's your ultimate goal here? I mean, why, this is kind of a big venture to take on, why did you want to do this, and what are you hoping to get out of it? What are you hoping to see happen to the industry because of Profology?
Well, okay, there's a lot of questions. Obviously, I want to, I've said it before, I want to ease the pain that people have in higher education. I mean, there's all kinds of issues. There's issues dealing with how do you deal with administration about contract or what kind of insurance policy does your school have versus my school? There are so many different issues that are not being addressed anywhere. As a person who's been an adjunct professor, I really feel the pain of the new migrant workers of the 21st century, the adjunct faculty who now are just an incredible proportion of our professors. And, there are plenty of adjunct related sites out there. But again, they're still out of the loop. You're still not with the mainstream. You're talking to other adjuncts. What good does that do you? Not a heck of a lot. So I really think that this is I hate to say it, a market that's underserved. And we're gonna just blow up the whole ability of people to communicate within higher education in a way that is going to be a sort of a professional development platform.
Absolutely. Well, listen, Bob, thank you so much for coming on Meet the Innovator. Guys, I hope you can check out Profology. Get over there, sign up, and at least sign up now if it's not launched already by the time you're watching this video. Get ready to check it out. And I'm excited to see because, ultimately, I say this all the time, but innovation needs fuel, and the fuel for innovation is dialogue and cross-collaboration and conversation. So I'm excited to see if this is the kind of platform that can add to that. So, Bob, once again, thanks for coming on. I appreciate it.
Thanks, Seth. We'll keep you posted as to what we're doing.
Yeah, definitely, please do. And guys, definitely thank you for watching. As always, Meet the Innovator. It's the interview series here on Higher Ed Live, spotlighting innovation in education. If you've got an idea for us, you just let me know, because I'm doing a whole boatload of these, as many as I can. Let me know who you want me to talk to, and I'll do my best to do it. I really hope we can kind of push the needle and also kind of push the bar with our success, and always hold ourselves to a higher standard, push a little bit harder, work a little bit harder, get a little farther, make a little bit more of a difference. I know you guys are trying to do that. I am too. Thank you guys for tuning in, as always, to Higher Ed Live.